welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing fine today, Kyle, filled with delicious, rich smoked meats.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I had like a real late lunch, so I haven't really eaten dinner yet, but I'm not super hungry right now. But well, that's life. That's life, indeed. Melissa.
Life is being hungry and then also not hungry sometimes.
It certainly happens. It certainly happens. Melissa, we are here to do a spoiler cast for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm super excited to talk about this film. This is the latest Marvel movie in the MCU. It's primarily Asian cast. I don't really know how else to describe all the amazing things that this movie is, but it is amazing. As you can probably tell, I liked this movie a lot. So, Melissa, let's hear some general thoughts. What did you think about this film?
It was really fun. It was really sweet. And it had a lot of cool surprises in it that I didn't know to look forward to, because from all the people who had seen it before I saw it, they were talking about the action sequences, as they should, but then I didn't have anything else mentioned to me. I didn't know all the other visual wonders that I got to look forward to.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful film. Like you said, the action scenes are fantastic. There's a lot of great surprises. There's two end credit scenes.
Yes.
There's one in the middle and there's one at the end proper, and both of them were fantastic. I think this movie is introducing a lot of really, really cool new things to the MCU that I'm excited to see them explore. So we have a lot to look forward to with this. It was a good one indeed. Let's see here. I have a couple facts that I want to mention about this film. As of recording this, we are recording this on Monday, September 6th, which is Labor Day. And as of today, it has made $90 million domestically. And $56.2 million internationally, for a whopping $146,200,000.
Good.
Lots of money. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that this is an all-time record for Labor Day weekend. That this is the highest grossing film for a Labor Day weekend period. Which is amazing, which is great. So it's doing pretty well. I had a whole big long kerfluffle of getting to the movie theater.
Oh, you sure did.
Explained on our podcast, The Captain's Log, which was the whole nother story. But I did go see this in theaters like we had to, but I still kind of wished I would have gotten to watch it at home. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I went out there and saw that.
I went to see this at my local drive-in. My family went out there. We all sat out there in lawn chairs and ate pizza. It was a really good time.
Good stuff.
But there are, as we get on through the movie, there are some action scenes that take place at night that I wasn't able to see very well.
Okay, yeah.
Just because a drive-in is, it's in the elements. There's ambient lighting from like the grocery store next door and the moon. Yeah. So like, I can't see very dark scenes very easily at the drive-in. So there, you may mention details that I never picked up on.
I gotcha. Well, according to Rotten Tomatoes, this right now has a 92% on the tomato meter and a 98% in the audience score. So it's doing damn well. Rightly so. I think personally, I've mentioned that this is at least in my top 10 favorite Marvel films. But I gotta be honest, I think this might be up there, like in my top 3. Who knows?
I see that.
It's
3. Wow.
highly regarded, in my opinion. I like this one a lot. Do you have any other kind of spoiler-free general things that you want to mention? Actors you want to shout out, stuff like that?
I will say that there's a returning face in this movie who I wasn't sure if we were ever going to see again. And I was happy when that face did return.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one. Man, I really enjoyed all of the actors that they had in this. I'm not necessarily familiar with all the things they've done in the past.
No.
I've heard some bits and pieces here and there. I know I've retweeted some stuff of like, hey, you remember this actor from Shang-Chi? Here they are 30 years ago, kicking ass. The whole cast was fantastic. There's a lot of side characters that I really, really enjoyed that don't get a lot of screen time, but what they get is fantastic. So highly, highly recommend this film. I think the fight choreography in this is the best it has been in the MCU. So I'm excited to get a little bit further in this film and start talking spoilers and stuff like that. So well, let's take a quick break for housekeeping, and then we will be right back, and then we will get into spoilers after that. So we will see you soon. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. Big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. So thank you to Sam. Thank you so much. We love you a lot and we appreciate you. It means a ton. Cool things that we have done here on the Captain's Log recently. We took some personality quizzes about like, hey, if you based on what movies you pick, what snack would you be? And then based on the snacks you might want to eat, what movie would you be? And the results were pretty shocking.
Yeah, a truly perplexing experience. That series of personality quizzes took us to places we didn't think we would get to go.
Absolutely. And then on the review show, which is our book club style podcast, we recently covered the first Digimon movie, as well as the original like 3 Digimon shorts and short movie things that the like United States release, the theatrical release was comprised of, and we kind of did a compare and contrast of that. So if you're a fan of Digimon, might be worth checking out. So there you go. Lots of cool stuff that we are doing here at the Whatnauts. So go check all of that out. But Melissa, I think it is time for us to go ahead and get into spoilers.
There it is. Spoiler noise.
I fixed the spoiler noise. It hasn't been working the past couple weeks, and it was because I messed up some of the settings and stuff while I was tinkering and didn't set it back. So here we are. It's
That's
fixed,
your alter
though.
ego, the Tinkerer.
Yeah. So we kind of do the basic plot synopsis as we talk about this film. It's a little bit different than what we do for the review show. But this film starts out in ye olden times. The ancient times where Wen Wu has found the 10 rings. And it's not exactly sure about how he found them. Maybe it was from a tomb. Maybe it was in some crater. No one really knows, but he found them. He has them. And they have given him power and basically immortality. And it's the movie starts off with his the movie starts out with his army, which he calls the 10 rings, and he is kicking butt, destroying the things. So just from the start of this, Melissa, what did you think of the 10 rings themselves?
Like the literal armbands?
The actual literal rings. Yeah, how, because they're slightly different in the comics. They're like a big bunch of different stuff. But what did you think of the actual rings here in this movie?
I thought they were a neat visual design, changing them from being like finger rings to being these, I don't know, like big bangles, and you wear like 5 on each arm. I guess you could wear them in other configurations, but it's always seen symmetrically. I don't know if the magic works the same if you do 6 and 4. It looks cool. It's cool to see Wenwu walk around, especially when we get to modern times where he's got like a jacket. He's got a blazer with the sleeves rolled up, and just these arms full of bangles. Yeah. Very cool.
Pretty cool indeed. Yeah, I liked their design a lot. I liked how they could extend out, and it was... They could be used in a number of different ways. It seemed like you could like make them like stiff and actually be like a harder thing, or you could have them be more like a whip. You could shoot them out. They could like shoot power out to like fly or like jump long distances. There's one scene down the road where a character uses them as like stepping stones and stuff like that, which I thought was fantastic and neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the visual design of them and how they use them. It's really neat to see. But we've actually heard of the 10 rings basically since day 1 in the MCU. Melissa, do you want to mention a few things about them?
I was telling my mom that we were going to go see this new Marvel movie, and I told her it was Shang-Chi, and I'm like, don't worry, this isn't a guy you're supposed to have heard of already. This is new. This isn't somebody you've forgotten about out of the dozens of other Marvel characters. So I'm telling her how exciting it was to get to go to a whole new part of the universe. And then I had to explain, well, part of it's kind of always been here. When Tony Stark is captured in the first Iron Man movie before he's thrown into the cave to make the actual first Iron Man suit out of the box of scraps, in the ransom video, there is the 10 rings flag behind him. And then there is that short film that came after there's Iron Man 3, where we've got the Mandarin, who we then find out is just Trevor Slattery, an actor who was hired to pretend to be this terrorist. It was a role the whole time. It was a front. He's just an innocent performer who just took a job.
Yeah.
And then I haven't sat down to watch it yet, but Disney Plus just added that All Hail the King short film that's like Trevor Slattery in jail, and then a guy comes to visit him. And he's like, Scoot, our boy Scoot. Yes.
Good old Scoot.
Comes to visit him, and he's like, the 10 rings is real. Look, I've got a 10 rings tattoo. I'm here to break you out of jail. There's an actual guy behind this role you've been set to perform. Yes. He wants to see you.
Yeah.
Sadly, the movie is Scootless. He doesn't appear.
He did not make his way into this film. But yeah, there's been some Ten Rings stuff kind of scattered throughout the MCU. There was a weapons buyer in Ant-Man who had a Ten Rings tattoo, stuff like that. So it's neat that we've kind of seen them all along, but it hasn't ever really been the real thing. And here we are with the real thing. And it is
like
much more powerful and dangerous than we thought.
Yeah, and it's like a series of Easter eggs that they could like spend as much time as they wanted building on. Like there wasn't a time limit. They're like, well, the time is right. When the time is right, we will get to Shang-Chi. You will see him.
Sure.
Finally, 13 years later, here we are.
Absolutely. So we see him, we see Wenwu in the height of his power.
Yeah.
And then we kind of skip ahead to mid-90s, 1994, I believe.
96.
96. So I guess,
because I was trying to figure out the math, and then I realized that post-blip, like the MCU timeline is actually in like 2025. It's not in the year we are now. So I'm like, there's no way Shang-Chi is this young. But no, he's post-blip age.
Yeah. So we see him in the mid-90s, and he ends up discovering this enchanted forest. And within this forest, he finds this woman who is standing there, and she seems to be guarding this village. It's the village of Talo that he has been looking for. And he's finally found it, but she is kind of protecting the entrance to this village. And they get in this fight, and it is this beautiful fight. It's this beautiful scene. It's not Wu Tai, it's wuxia, I believe, is the name of the genre, or wuxia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's the like crouching tiger, hidden dragon style, where there's a bunch of like really graceful martial arts on a bunch of wires and stuff, and it's beautiful. And they get in a fight that's kind of like that, and they when Wu cannot defeat her, and her kind of more natural powers seem to conquer his 10 rings there. And what's her name again? I'm terrible with names. You guys know this.
Yeah, I forget her name beyond Mom.
Yeah, good old Mom. Long story short, they end up getting married and having a kid, which is how we then get Shang-Chi. Yeah, 2 kids. Let's see. How about this? How about you look up her name as I continue with the plot, so we can keep moving right along here. So they end up falling in love, and they have 2 kids, and they are raised to be assassins. At least Shang-Chi is, and we don't really continue on with that story right now, but then we switch to Shang-Chi in modern day times, in the present day MCU, like Melissa said, which is actually in the near future. It's like 2024-ish.
I gotta keep reminding myself of this.
Yeah. So we see Shang-Chi, who is going by the name Sean, and he is living basically a normal life out in San Francisco. He works as a valet. His best friend is named Katie. They like to go out and eat and do karaoke and all sorts of stuff. They have they have a really, really good relationship. It's a little flirty at times, but it's not necessarily romantic. They're just best buds.
The mom's name is Ying Li.
Ying Li. Okay, good. Good to remember.
It may be her full name.
Cool. So they're just kind of living this normal life in San Francisco. I felt like they had big millennial energy, where they're just like stuck in these like dead end jobs that they're just like, well, we don't want to be doing this. We'd like to be doing something better, but we also like all the work and all the it's just that's not worth it to like be a lawyer and have these multiple degrees and do all this stuff. It's just adulting is hard, man.
Yeah, like they like their job being valet parkers. They get to play with all those fun cars.
Yeah,
it seems like a nice
free time.
Yeah, low energy job, and they feel pressured by parents and friends to, like they're talking to their lawyer friend who calls them childish for not growing up and taking on more serious forms of work.
Yeah. What did you think of Katie? Because we get introduced to her here.
She's darling. I like her a lot. I love her relationship with Shang-Chi. I like that she's making fun of him because like she's known him under the name Sean because when he left this life behind, he took an alias, and she's making fun of him for choosing an alias that's so close to what his original name is. She's like, well, no wonder your dad found you.
Sean.
I like their bond a lot. Yeah. And like I like that her grandma was like, when are you two getting married? And he's like, no, we're just friends. Like there's nothing defensive or sensitive in it. They are just super, super good buds. And I, not to skip ahead too much, but I like that the way the movie ends is like, they're even more closely bonded. They've not explicitly moved into romantic territory, but they are like holding each other more. Like they'll hold hands, or she'll put her head on his shoulder, or they'll like link arms when they go somewhere. And I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it's great. I like that they did not go the romantic route with that. But I like where it is, and I hope it stays that way, to be honest. I don't mind if they get flirty or they hook up or something down the road, but I like to see that just so incredibly strong platonic relationship between a man and a woman. And it's like, you don't need to ship them. You can if you want, but it's just like, this works out wonderfully. So. Yeah,
I like how open-ended the movie is with their relationship for whatever aspect of it you find the most compelling. There's plenty there for if you want them as friends or if you want them to be a boyfriend-girlfriend.
Yeah, and I like how the movie also kind of has an arc for Katie. Too. Like she is just not she's not just the side character or the sidekick, or I guess she kind of is the sidekick, but like she has this arc where we do get to see them just being like, you know what, I'm fine with my job as a valet. I'm fine where I'm at. I'm content. I'm I'm good to just be right where I'm at. But then there's this lesson for her of just like, hey, if you don't aim at something, if you don't like try to improve or get better at something, then you won't reach that. You won't hit that shot. And we do down the road in the movie get to see her pick up archery. She hits the target a couple times, but the movie never really says like, oh, she's mastered it now, because she's had like one day to practice it. So she is just this normal person, but she has this thing that she is now working towards, and I like that.
Yeah, and I like that her skill with archery it's not something she's necessarily good at, but she's found something that she enjoys enough that she wants to be good at it. She wants to be better. She's found something in her life that's worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Another thing I really like about her is that she did not get swept up in this. She insisted on following her friend into everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not an accident that she's there. She did it on purpose.
Indeed. I thought she was really funny too. I mean, Aquafina is definitely funny, but I loved her character a lot. She was great. I want more Katie in the MCU, please.
We'll see them. We'll see all of them. I like Shang-Chi himself. I like how just down to earth and approachable he is. Like he could have had an action life, and instead he's like, I'd love to just do karaoke and park cool cars.
Yeah. I would love to see Katie get to interact with Hawkeye.
Right? Yeah, I was surprised that she took up archery specifically. Like it really fits like the setting and like the type of action adventure film that this movie is. But I was like, we do already have a couple archers in this franchise.
Like I can just see her like trying to stunt and just be like, I can do archery too.
Yeah.
as he's there and he's just like, who are you?
No, better yet, put her with Kraglin. Let her try out the Yondu's arrow.
There you go. Hey, ooh, that'd be fun. She'd be like, mine can't do that. What the hell? Yeah, I liked her a lot. She was great. But yeah, so next we see Shang-Chi gets this postcard that has invited him to, he's not sure exactly, but he thinks it's from his sister. And so he ends up following it because they get in a big fight scene on the bus where it seems like some of his father's men are after him and want him to come back home, and he's not having it, which is where we get that big old fight scene on the bus. We see some great stunt work. It's incredible.
He fights with his jacket.
Fight scene. Yeah.
Like a lot of the action in this movie is so smooth and so graceful. Like I don't even know if I could talk about it. For me to talk about this action is to like describe how a water fountain is a fountain. Like it just is. It is
water
that.
flows.
It just moves. Right. It flows. But I did like the part where he fought with his jacket.
Yep, it's very Jackie Chan.
It is.
It's the style. I think the same stunt man who helped out a lot with Jackie Chan back in the days worked on this film too, if I'm not mistaken. Somehow there's some connection there that I've heard about. I'm not sure exactly what. But yeah, it's very, very reminiscent of that, and it's fun to watch. It's so cool.
It is. The bus scene is so fun. But it does have like my one tiny little nitpick about the movie, which is less of a movie thing and more of a Melissa thing. Nobody on that bus tried to help them. So like these bad guys show up, they start fighting Shang-Chi, and he handles it. He's doing an excellent job. And then like the driver's knocked out, and then Katie starts driving the bus. And then like the guy live streaming everything. The street vendor back from Spider-Man Homecoming.
Hey, Spider-Man,
I enjoyed him. Yeah, I enjoyed him. The scene was fun.
Took martial arts for like a week back in the day, so I'm gonna rate this fight as we go.
Right. Like I was a little frustrated that nobody but the protagonist was actively trying to help this situation, and like none of the other passengers on the bus were like, I'm gonna call emergency services. I'm gonna try and like conk this guy from behind with my backpack. Like nobody tried anything.
To be honest, though, I understand that. I've been in. So I used to take public transportation a lot. I've been in a couple situations where people have been acting up on the bus, and it is scary as hell. You freeze. Like you don't know what to do, even if it's someone that like doesn't know kung fu and is just like maybe a little bit drunk and getting a little bit too rowdy. Just like you're just like, God, I don't want to have to be the one to like get up there and do it, because it's so scary. I've definitely been in situations like that, and you just pray that they resolve themselves or that they get off on the next stop. But then on top of that, all of these motherfuckers know kung fu and stuff. What am I gonna do? They're not gonna do.
There's several of them. I think Spider-Man 2 has spoiled me. I'm always looking for another movie to try that train scene where Doc Ock shows up to fight Peter.
Me.
Exactly. I want to see civilians do that again. I want to see the time when that works. When the everyday people are like, no, you won't hurt any of us. We stand against you. and
That would be
it does something. I just don't like to see inert, powerless civilians.
Yeah. I loved that fight scene. This is where we get introduced to Razor Fist is, I guess, his name. I would love to see him one day get to meet Taserface. I don't know if is Taserface still alive?
No, I think Yondu got him.
Damn it, Yondu. Fucking all of this up. That would have been great. Like, hey, I'm Taserface. And then he's like, I'm Razor Fist. And they're like, hey, great name. You have a great name.
Then they hug.
Yeah.
And they hang out with a guy named like friends. Knife Legs or something.
Yeah. Gun Leg. So we learn in this big fight scene that Razor Fist is after the necklace that Shang-Chi has on, the like brooch medallion thing that he wears around his neck, which we learn in a flashback is a gift from his mom when he was really young, and she was like, hey, if you are living your life and you feel like you're lost, this is something that will help you find your way home. We don't really know much more about it than that at the time, but we find out down the road that this is maybe the key to helping find their mom's village. But yeah, so they follow up on this postcard, which takes them to, I believe they were in Vegas, right? I didn't see where the actual address. No,
they go to Macau.
In Vegas. Macau. Okay, that's right. It looked like Vegas.
It's full of neon lights. It's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, there's this big fight this like big tournament that they kind of stumble into. They think this is something like that. Their sister is he thinks his sister is there, and that his father is after her. And it turns out that his sister is the one that like runs this whole underground fight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on here. I love all of this stuff. We see a big sumo guy in some like small fight on one side. We see one of the Black Widows.
Yeah.
That was in the Black Widows movie. In that she's hiding all sorts of stuff. But on the main stage, the fight that's happening right away is the Abomination versus Wong. Wong from Doctor Strange and the Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. Excuse me. And man, it's great to see them in this film. It was really interesting to see their relationship. What were your thoughts on this whole tournament and Wong and the Abomination and all the stuff that's happening here? Oh, Melissa, I lost ya.
Oh, you froze for me, but I think you're back now.
Cool. I think you're back for me as well. Basically,
I don't know what that was.
Just saying, or wanting to know what you thought of the whole tournament and Wong and the Abomination and all that stuff.
I was expecting this movie to have more of a tournament. I think because that was just a popular theory going into it, that this would be like a whole Mortal Kombat style ordeal. This is more of like, we've scheduled all of these exhibition matches. People watch them online and place bets. It didn't seem like it was a tournament. Like there was going to be like all the, you move forward in a bracket and then ultimately one winner is named. It seems like it just kept happening. There's just a perpetual series of fights going on over there. But I like the energy around it. I was happy that it was, like it seemed like people were doing it for sport, for like just the athleticism of it. It wasn't like violent. It didn't seem like a very dark and seedy place to be. it seemed like an all right place to be. You know, that friend shows up, calls Shang-Chi bus boy. He's very friendly.
Yeah.
and I like that Wong and Abomination are apparently buddies, and Wong like helps him, opens up a portal and takes him back to whatever containment center he lives in.
At least maybe Wong is somehow like his PO, sort of, or like they're at least sparring partners. Maybe he's working on his rehabilitation somehow. We don't know exactly. Yeah, has Wong put some kind of spell on him so he is a little bit more like less violent towards just regular bystanders and stuff, and is more friendly? I don't know if that's the right word there, but yeah, they have an interesting relationship as they kind of go back and forth and be like, hey, next week, you know, focus more on your right hook and stuff like that. So it's an interesting place for sure. But yeah, it's Shang-Chi's sister that is running the whole place. What is her name as well? Let me look that one up. It's
is it Jialing?
Jialing, I believe is how you say it. Jialing, I believe. Yeah, it's Menage Zhang is the actress.
I mean, I had to close my IMDb window. Let me get it back open again.
Yeah. So they get to sit down and talk, and she's kind of unaware that her father is looking for her and might be after the brooch that she has that their mom gave her. And sure enough, all of the 10 rings start showing up. We get another big fight scene out on some scaffolding. It looks ridiculous. The fight scene is so good, but yeah, I think this is probably one of the ones that was maybe a little bit darker for you and that you couldn't see.
Yeah, we had trouble seeing this one.
Yeah. It's the same kind of stuff that happens on the bus where he, you know, steps on one thing and a plank flies up and hits someone and knocks them down, and now that person is the plank that they use to walk over, and they're jumping through hoops and this and that and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, they end up fighting Death Dealer, I believe is his name, which is like the 10 Rings is like right hand dude. It's when Wu is like right hand dude. They get both of the roaches, and finally the real Mandarin shows up in modern day time. And it's a big old family reunion. They go back home, and yeah, Katie has to be like, wait, what is going on with all of this? Like, I don't understand. Who are you? She's actually caught up on most of it by time they get out to Macau. But now she is fully in the midst of this. She goes back to the 10 Rings compound with them as they get introduced to all the stuff that's happening there. This is where I think we learn a little bit more about the mom by this point. Well, if not, let's just go ahead and dive into the mom's story right now. I think that'd be a good time to do that. So when Wu, and again, I don't remember her name.
Yang.
Yang. God,
yes.
I'm so bad with names. When they decide to get married and have kids, she has to leave Talo. That is the decision that they make, because they don't accept Wen Wu. So they have to leave the village and stuff, which means she doesn't have her powers, which are connected to this mystical land of Talo. They end up having both of their kids. She gives them the broaches all that stuff, but one of Wen Wu's, I guess, like former enemies comes to collect their debt and stuff like that. And unfortunately, Wen Wu is not there, and she has to fight them, but there's too many of them for her to fight, and she ends up dying and being killed. Yeah. Unfortunately, Shang-Chi is right over there watching the whole thing. And that's kind of when Wen Wu takes up his 10 rings once again and starts to train Shang-Chi to be an assassin and stuff like that. And he eventually sends him after them there. We don't get to see that much of the mom in this, but what we did see, I really liked.
Yeah, she's sweet. I like the scene of the whole family playing DDR together.
That was good. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, she's nice. And I had her name backwards. I think Ying is the family name and her given name is Lee. And then we meet her sister
Lee
later
Ying.
and her given name is Nat.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, we get to learn just a little bit more about what happened to her and how much she kind of held the family together. Because things start to kind of fall apart after that, to the point where, yeah, their father is so obsessed with trying to get her back, and Shang-Chi has been long gone. He left and just never came back, and all that stuff. So it was an interesting. I liked all of the different motivations that these characters had there. I think each member of that family had an interesting story by itself.
Mm-hmm. I really loved how family centric this story was. I like that this was a story about adult siblings and their father.
Yeah.
It did. Like, looking back on the mom, Marvel's got a great tradition of just very mom-centric stories that I enjoy. Superhero stories as a whole have that. I don't want to forget Shazam and his search for his mother. Martha Wayne, Martha Kent, all important.
There you go.
And I like that Wen Wu is a character who's so sad. I like that sad is what he gets to be more than threatening or malicious. He's mainly sad by the end of it.
He's intimidating and menacing because of how sad he's become. It's made him so obsessed with this thing. He's more of an obsessive character, and that reads to me more as tragic. Where I can, there is some level of sympathy that I have for him. There, and yeah, like he's not so bad, at least in this film. I'm just like, I don't like this guy at all. But there is a part of me that's like, man, like he was so in love with her that it's driven him to this kind of insanity. And he's being
sort of poisoned by these rings, but also think about how many wild things happen in this world. The fact that he believes that her community like took her back, they've been holding her prisoner, and that she's like being held specifically beyond like this rock wall, on the other side of a lake. Like, it's so strange, but if you think about the fact that he found her in like a magic forest to begin with, you understand why he thinks, yes, I believe what this voice tells me. This seems real to me.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. This is just another piece of the magic that I've been seeing for thousands and thousands of years. She must be back here. This makes a lot of sense to him. And you see that. And I also like that the kids, that Shang-Chi and Jia Ling have not an entirely cold relationship with their dad. You can tell that like they wish things were better. Shang-Chi in particular, he's like,
they
I wish I didn't have to kill my dad.
Like they were good. Yeah,
and like they regret how much their family has broken apart. Like their dad has not treated them well. They're aware of that, of course. They don't want to be like best friends with him again. But there is a sense of loss there that their dad has been gone from their lives, and then he has to literally die.
Yeah. The two brooches are plugged
the little
into this
pendants.
dragon statue, and this basically reveals that hey, there is this map, there is this like shifting forest, and like every so often, like once every, I don't remember how long he said, once a year or like once every 10 years or something, there is a direct path to Talo. We're gonna take it. It happens in 3 days. We're gonna save your mom, who's been like seemingly telepathically communicating to me or something, and the kids are just like, yeah, no, she's dead. Like she got myrtleized, and this is not good, Dad.
I did love that sequence though, where there was that water map that shows like the overhead view of the forest on all the maze paths through the forest, and I love just
it was
how
so cool,
lovely and simple and fantastical the thing is that like we can only get into this pathway like once every several full moons, only when the time is right, and if not, we'll be lost in this forest forever. Like it seemed so simple to grasp. Like it reminded me of like fantasy stories I would read when I was a little kid in a way that I liked. I liked that the mythology of this was not excessively complicated.
Right, yeah. This is also where we get our first surprise character. Both of Shang-Chi and his sister Xialing, as well as Katie, they are put in the compound's jail, and they hear some wailing going on in the background, and they investigate, and it turns out to be none other than Trevor Slattery, aka the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, the actor that played him.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Man, I was not expecting him to be in this film, but when he showed up, I was just like, oh, this is great. I love this, that he's just chilling in the Ten Rings jail.
Yeah, I'm happy that the MCU recognized that he is like an individual who is liked. Like, I think even if people didn't like how the Iron Man 3 storyline went with the Mandarin, they liked Trevor as an individual guy. Like, you wish well for Trevor. You know he's wrapped up in things.
Relief. Just
beyond himself. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't mean anybody any harm. He just wants his drinks and he just wants to perform. It was delightful to see him again.
Ben Kingsley is such a phenomenal actor, too, that it's just like, you kind of don't really want to waste that character, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like to see him again was wonderful. And
then he's got this new friend.
Yeah, this like chicken pig thing, which apparently is based off of some real, I think, Chinese mythological character. Yeah. But
I was
calls
amazed.
it a chicken pig.
Yeah, it's like it does look kind of like if you took a raw chicken and then you put, but instead of it being raw, it's got like a fine hair on it like a pig or something, and it's got 6 legs and just like a rounded hump at either end, no head, no butt, and then it's got several wings on its back, and he calls it Morris. And this was the thing that I was like, nobody told me this was happening. Yes. Nobody told me this movie had little creatures in it. And like looking back on The Last Jedi and how divisive porgs were, like it's amazing that the MCU, which has not had things like this up until this point, that they introduced a weird, silly little creature, and I haven't heard any backlash about it yet. Seems like maybe we're living in a pro-Morris world.
Yeah, you know who I want to see Morris interact with? Cassie, Ant-Man's daughter.
Oh, get her a Morris.
Like, it's so ugly, I love it.
Yeah.
That would be great. But yeah, and I guess Trevor thinks that only he can see this thing because it is this like weird looking creature, and everyone's just
so
like,
sad.
What is that? But he's just like,
he's so relieved
you can see it?
Somebody else can see this. Yet poor Trevor.
Yeah. Great stuff. But thanks to Morris, this like fantastical beast that can communicate at least with Trevor, that he's like, hey, I know the path. Like, you don't need to wait 3 days to go there. We can go now. So that's what they do. They break out and they go to Ta Lo. Let's talk a little bit about Ta Lo, because this place was gorgeous.
First off, we get that cool breakout scene where they have to steal Razor Fist's car. And I like how like we see Katie repeatedly like driving, and I thought that might have been what
good driver.
She wound up doing. Yeah, I thought that might have been what she wound up doing in the third act, that the village would have some sort of a vehicle. Like there would be some sort of a wagon that she would need to drive or something. I was a little bit surprised when she picks up archery as her heroic skill in the third act. But no, they steal Razor Fist's car. I love them just driving through that ever-moving forest. It might swallow them up.
Yeah, like she did pick up archery. I that's the thing. Like I can see her also picking up other random things along the way and just like not necessarily sticking with them, but like she like no matter what she does and how she decides to be helpful, because she like you said, she is someone who staunchly was like, no, I'm going to help no matter what. I can see her picking up all sorts of things, but bottom line, she is a driver, and now the MCU has a getaway driver, and I'm so happy about that. If Ant-Man is doing a heist and needs a getaway driver, we got one. So.
Right. I was expecting an Ant-Man nod, since we were also in San Francisco. I was
There was a very, very, very small one in the scene where it's showing San Francisco and that fancy car is pulling up into the thing. It shows a bird's eye view of that windy street that they do the car chase in. I think in Ant-Man 2. Yeah. I believe it's the same scene or same like set, which I guess is a real place.
Like it's also like an iconic San Francisco location.
Right. Yes, but
so I didn't see it as like a nod to Ant-Man. That would be like, this New York City scene has a shot of the Statue of Liberty, an homage to X-Men, the first X-Men movie.
And to David Blaine or whoever else, Planet
of the Apes, all the great Ghostbusters 2, all the great Statue of Liberty.
Speaking of Planet of the Apes, we have a great sequence which we learn why Trevor wants to become an actor, and oh my god, it is the dumbest thing, and I love it.
It's so endearing that he sees these apes ride horses. He's amazed what these apes can do, and his mom's like, "Oh no, sweetheart, that's just acting." And he doesn't catch on that, like, no, those are human actors in ape costumes. He thinks, "Oh, yeah, an ape doesn't know how to ride a horse, but an ape can act like it knows."
So if they can teach a monkey to act like that, then I can act even better.
Imagine what I can do.
And it's just like
he's a positive thinker, Trevor.
It's so dumb, it's so stupid, but it's so endearing and it's so sweet that you just can't tell him that it's like, no, like that's not it still, but you're just like, all right, well, good luck, dude. And it's gotten them this far. But there's that big whole car chase, and they make their way into Ta Lo, which is absolutely beautiful. Reminded me a lot of Detective Pikachu, when we get to see all of the Pokemon out in the wild and stuff like that. We get to see all of these different mythological creatures, and it just seems like a really, really cool place.
All the creatures reminded me a lot of Avatar. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if James Cameron's Avatar has small creatures. I guess it's got the mighty Akron.
I don't. I hate that he had to take that name for his movie. I don't know, but I think this is one of the more exciting things that the film has introduced to the MCU, that there are these creatures, like you said. We also do get to see this like new side of magic that we don't necessarily know. I guess magic is the right thing, but that there are these mystical cities out there when they do the exposition to explain, like, well, Ta Lo used to have multiple cities kind of around the world to guard special places and stuff like that. Then they got destroyed, and now there's only this one left, and but there's this great dragon protector. Like, I want to know more about these cities.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a nod to Kunlun from Iron Fist. Which is known as this like mystical city out in the mountains. No one can really find it. They train in martial arts, and they have to. There is one special person who then gets to go fight the Great Protector, which is their dragon. And if they can defeat this dragon and take its heart, then you get the power of the immortal Iron Fist. And so, I was hoping they'd be like, we had multiple cities like this, like that, like Kunlun, and then they just move on. But they didn't do that.
I don't know anything about Iron Fist except that he's blonde. He wears a green outfit. I know what he looks like. I don't know who he is. I can't tell you his name beyond
different
Iron
story.
Fist.
I think a lot of people try to, and rightly so. But I think they try to relate his story to more of a like white savior story. But it's also more than that. It is like he's not necessarily their savior per se. But the I think the idea of the story is he is an outsider in the midst of all of this, and he's not necessarily accepted by some of the people and stuff like that. So you can see how the white savior stuff applies. Immortal Iron Fist is one of the greatest martial artists in the MCU. It's like him and Shang-Chi. They are the best. Stuff
what
like
I took away from this scene, first off, they get to Ta Lo and they meet their mother's sister. They meet Auntie Nan. I'm just happy to see an aunt of any kind. I believe this is only our second aunt after May Parker. So good that there's another one out there.
And
as an aunt, I love to see. Yeah, as an aunt, I love to see fellow aunts. It means a lot to me. And she's leading him down the hallway with all of these carved wooden statues showing the history of Ta Lo. And I think a lot about this trend in movies over the last like decade, maybe, where there's some sort of like a kinetic moon sand that gives you exposition.
Or some like art piece, that memorializes their history.
Guardians but it's
2.
always like, exactly. It's always something that like moves. Ego's got those beautiful like ceramic eggs, but think about like the vibranium particles in the prologue to Black Panther.
Right.
Think about in Man of Steel. I think there's something like that in his Kryptonian spaceship where Russell Crowe tells him like, all right, this was Krypton. This was the planet you came from. It's always these sort of like weird moving little building blocks and things that shift around that tells you exposition. And I was just happy to see that these were just plain, normal, organic, stationary wooden statues. I like that this broke out of this like recent trend we've been seeing. It was like, refreshing to see something standing still.
I mean, it's still that trend, but just in the style of this town. Like they don't necessarily use modern technology and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. It's about the exposition and about like setting us in this place. And I don't know. I just think a lot about weird moving exposition statues.
Yeah, so it explains the history and that there were these like weird creatures from beyond the gate that attacked, and that's why a bunch of these cities fell, and that the Great Protector, their dragon, helped to fight them back. And man, immediately when I saw those creatures, I was like, tentacles. We've had some tentacles in Marvel's
Tentacle
What
Watch
If?
2021.
Tentacle Watch 2021. Here we go. Yeah, I was like, I wonder if these are somehow connected, which introducing more creatures and more kind of demonic imagery into the MCU, or at least like hinting at it here and there. Yeah, it really starts to seem like the MCU is kind of gearing up towards something with that, of just like, hey, we're gonna introduce some weirder things. It's not just people and technology. It's not just something from space, but what if it's something from another dimension? What if it's something that has like bat wings and octopus tentacles and this and that, and it's mixed, and it's just this weird creature.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like it a lot. So good stuff with that. But Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi helps to prepare the village. Like, hey, in 3 days, my father's going to be here. He thinks my mother's in wherever that thing is back there. She's not back there. I know she's not. But we're here to help, which is then when Katie picks up archery. And
also, their aunt gives them these special outfits that their mom had like given her to give to them in the future that seemingly fit perfectly. I don't know if this is part of the magic that you know exactly what size your child will be. X
one
amount
day
of years
he will be 6'3", 180 pounds. I don't know how big he is.
His chest measurements will be this.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're stretchy. I don't know. They're made out of dragon scales, and we don't really know how they work. They seem to have some kind of mystical power to them, right? Yeah. So I don't know, but they start preparing. Xialing gets her. I don't know what the weapon is called, but that like
I don't know the name of that either.
Thing.
But it's very cool.
God. I want more like weapons in the MCU besides guns and a knife, like a tactical knife.
Right.
Like,
or besides like, Mjolnirs and shields.
Right.
More like just general cool things that aren't like super magical and legendary. Like this is just one of this type of something. Yeah.
I want more daggers and scythes and staves and
get us a
like
rapier. That. Yeah, a dagger.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. Something you can fit in a boot.
But yeah, then Wen-Wu shows up. He's like, "Hey, I've come for my wife, Dormammu. I've come to bargain." Yeah, and he's like, I don't know, like I liked this whole fight scene. I want to talk about this fight scene because chaos breaks out right away, but we do get all of these pockets of different characters doing their different things. We get to see these big like foo dog characters fighting and stuff, and it's great. I love that one scene where the soldiers have their shields and they use that as a ramp. They do some wonderful stuff. And yeah, like I mentioned, that like chain dagger thing, it just the mix of stuff and all the martial arts in here is something that we haven't seen in the MCU. And to think about where this will go and how this will mix in with the MCU down the road is going to be really cool to see this. Like all these different styles of martial arts mix in with Spider-Man swinging and flipping and whoever. Yeah.
So many different fighting styles.
And
it's
going to be good.
We are well set up for a secret war whenever they decide to spring that secret on us.
Whenever they do. Yep. We're getting there. We're getting there. And yeah, there's a confrontation between Shang-Chi and his father. And before this big whole fight, Shang-Chi is grappling with what to do. He's recently been trained by his aunt in this style that his mom knew, and thankfully, because he's such a good martial artist, he's a quick learner, and he at least has some of the basics down, and then can use that to his advantage. But he is struggling with what to do, and I really liked this scene, because he thinks at the end of the day his father is too far gone. They've tried talking with him multiple times. It's been like, this has been a thing that's been going on for years. He's tried to talk with him. He's tried to fight with him in a way that like he won't kill him. But now he's thinking that like I might just have to kill him to stop this. Especially if this gate that he's trying to enter is actually like a prison cell for this like demonic creature, right? Like to stop him from unleashing that, I might have to kill him, and he prepares himself to do that, which I think is an interesting thing for a character in the MCU, because a lot of the heroes that we've seen so far are very much no killing. Or I mean, there are a lot that they have killed, let's be honest, but there is, I think, a kind of general rule of thumb that like, hey, eventually these characters will see the light and like not want to actually kill people when they're doing all these big fights and stuff like that. And I don't think we've had a scene like this where we get a character that's like, I think I'm like purposely going to have to do this, and he has to meditate on that. So I thought that was a very powerful scene there.
Yeah, I liked the reveal that he really did kill someone, when he was younger. He's always regretted it and tried to hide it and think around it. And he does not want to kill his dad, but is grappling with the fact that, he may have to. That may be the only solution that he has. Yeah, in other movies, the sort of destruction is like, I don't know, like like what has to happen, it's like Ego the living planet. Well, we got to get rid of him. We can't trust a whole living planet, to like keep existing out here when it made like we've been dealing with foes that are either like, so like that's just like a Hydra grunt, or it's like this big mystical entity. But I like that this is this middle level of like, no, this is a man, and it's not just a man, it's my dad.
Right. Yeah.
And I understand part of where he's coming from, and I don't know if how far I will have to go and how far he will go, to get to what he wants. And if he goes far enough, do I have to kill him? Is that the only option I'll be left with?
Yeah, because there's a lot of MCU movies that have themes of family or found family, but I think this one has that theme in a very unique way. We've kind of touched upon it already, but yeah, like they have memories when everything was good.
Yeah,
like, it's just, this is a family that has fallen apart because of the death of their mother. And yeah, it's driven them apart in different ways, and they're each different people. I know a lot of people have also criticized superhero films in general, that usually the first one is about the hero fighting just a bad version of themselves, which I don't think this is necessarily the case for Shang-Chi. Like, he's not fighting himself, he's fighting his father, who has a very different motivation. He doesn't have the same power set, right? But it is still just, at the end of the day, yeah, this is a man, this is my father, and I may have to kill him, and that sucks. So it's a beautiful scene. I like that this movie went there with that. Shang-Chi gets blasted underwater, under the sea. And this is where we meet the Great Protector, this big dragon that kind of saves him and lifts him up. And by this time, Wenwu has gotten to the dragon portal gate thing, and he's beaten on it and stuff like that. And these demonic creatures that have all these tentacles and bat wings and stuff, they start to get loose. And they start flying towards the village and stuff like that. And as more and more of them come, the 10 Ring soldiers and the people of Talo, they all decide to, like, hey, we need to stop fighting each other. The only way we will survive is if we all fight against these demons here. And the only weapons that work against them are these dragon scale infused weapons. So I thought that was that whole thing was neat, where they just have to stop this fight, like despite what Wenwu is still up to and all that stuff. The whole 10 Rings is still just like, I know we have our orders, but I also want to live. So like we kind of just have to survive here. But yeah, they start fighting these demonic things, and they are some scary looking creatures. But yeah, then we see the dragon come up and start fighting them as well. Shang-Chi finally gets to do a bit more of a confrontation with his father, and we see a really great scene that mimics the scene at the start with his mother, as he starts to use the fighting style that his mom used there. And unfortunately, in the midst of this, still the big what is the name of this thing? Because it has a name. It's like the one behind the curtain. No, not that. Let's see. Where is it? Right, blah 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 blah.
The Dweller in Darkness.
The Dweller in Darkness. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Yeah, it's just like it's another dragon seeming thing, but it's a darker dragon. It's more of a black and purple color as opposed to the white and red of the Great Protector. But it still also has these tentacles and stuff like that. But yeah, just a lot of stuff is happening by this point here. What did you think about this like final confrontation between Shang-Chi and his father? Stuff that's happening
again, there. It was difficult to see. Which man. I'm sure is not again, like, everything looked fine to you, right? I know it's not the movie. It was just watching it at a drive-in. Otherwise, I recommend the drive-in experience to you if you have it available to yourself in your area. Just action scenes at night, slightly tricky. I like that him and his dad kind of made a connection there at the end when the Dweller in Darkness is like sucking out his dad's life force or whatever. Like, him and his dad have like a final look, and his dad's like, you've won the rings, but also I think you deserve the rings. I'm glad you have them now. I'm glad my son will persist. My son will, both of my children, are still out there living and being strong.
Yeah. Do you feel that the father not gave up, but still had this, because like I don't feel like the father, despite seeing all of these demonic things start flying out in this big Dweller in Darkness, like you would think he'd be like, oh shit, I was wrong. That's not her. Like but he still didn't stop, not necessarily in a selfish way, but I'm wondering if you thought that he thought maybe somehow the soul of his wife was in this thing, so he was trying to go be with her in the end.
That could be part of it too, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of felt like that at the end. Like once he finally got grabbed, and realized that like he's not really gonna get out of this thing. That it like he was just like, well, I still feel like my wife is back there or a part of this thing somehow, some way. Like, again, magic can happen. So maybe he's like, maybe I just don't understand it exactly. So maybe this is what I need to do to go be with my wife. But yeah, I kind of read it like that, but I don't know how you or what you thought about that.
I'd have to watch it again.
That's fair. Shang-Chi using the 10 rings. Do you have thoughts on that and how that looked? Or
they're a cool new gold color now. There's a part in the battle where he like tosses them, like he tears them off his dad and he tosses them aside, and then the lights go out. And I thought for a second that the point of the movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, was him being like, no one should have them. No more 10 rings. I'm reducing the world to 0 rings. But no, like he gets them back. They glow.
Sonic will never come here again. He's been banished.
Again,
no more gold
he's
rings.
been here before.
Yeah, again.
They glow with a good gold energy. I like that he's going to have these fun bracelets to wear in the future. There's a lot about these I'd like to learn. Does one person have to use all 10 at a time? And like he has 5 and Xiaoling has 5. How do these work? So I'd love to learn.
Yeah. Which I will swing back around to in a sec here, because that is a big question. But yeah, at the end of the day, when Wu gets eaten up by this dragon, the Great Protector almost gets eaten up by this dragon, but the day is saved thanks to Katie and her bow and arrow. Just letting it fly, hitting it right in the throat, which makes the dragon cough, I guess, or something, and like it stops, and but they save the day thanks to Katie hitting this shot with her bow and arrow. And I absolutely loved that moment there when she realizes, she's like, I hit it, I did that. So good stuff with that. But yeah, as things kind of wrap up, we then see we see Shang-Chi and Katie back in San Francisco, back with their lawyer friends, trying to explain all the stuff that they do, and their friends just being like, "You guys are fucking idiots! Like you and your childish like." Yeah,
you don't have to lie to me, okay? Just.
I was expecting one of them to say like, so what video game is this? Like, what's going on here? And
it's a fun LARP, you guys. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's a good one there. So the film kind of ends with them taking off, right? Is that how
because Wong shows up suddenly in this bar. He's like,
right, yeah,
Shang-Chi's friend Katie, I need to talk to you about these rings. Come with me now. Leave your cocktail hour.
Yeah. That's how the film wraps up. Like we said, there are 2 post-credits scenes with this. So let's dive into those. The first one follows immediately after they go into the portal with Wong. They are in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And yeah, it appears that they have talked to him previously after they got back or something, because Wong has been kind of studying the rings and analyzing them and
yeah, or maybe like this is like several hours after they originally joined him through the portal. Maybe they've been there a while.
Possibly, yeah. But yeah, he's kind of pulling up these like magically projected schematics of these things, and he's just like, look, I don't know what these are. I can't figure it out. We don't have books on these things. We don't have anything, and it's nothing that I know. And then then they kind of reveal that like, hey, since you had them and activated them with, I guess, your version of the magic, there is now a beacon There is something that is sending some signal. We don't know exactly what it is or where it's going, what it's signaling, who it might be signaling, but it's doing something and we don't know how to stop it. And then camera pans over and we see Bruce Banner and we see Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
And they're
and
sitting there
Bruce
like,
is like Bruce. He's full Mark Ruffalo. He's not green anymore, which was very surprising to me.
Yeah, indeed. His arm is still in the sling because he did the snap and it still hurt his arm there. But it was surprising that he was back to normal because he was stuck like that. For
and
a while.
happily stuck. He liked to be a smart Hulk in his big sweater.
Professor Hulk. But yeah, he's just like, I don't understand it. It's not Wakandan. It's not vibranium. It's not something that science kind of really knows how. And then Captain Marvel is like, it's not any kind of tech that I'm familiar with from some planet out there in the galaxy. So I don't know what this is. Which does maybe signal to us that the whatever is coming, whoever some of these like big bads that we might see in the future might be other dimensional. So
or perhaps very ancient. I'd have to double check where this was originally slated to go in the original Phase 4 lineup, but we have Celestial Eternals coming next, so we've got perhaps the Celestial area of things, could be, there's a chance it could still be something cosmic, just a rare, perhaps ancient form of cosmic, or multidimensional. We got our options, If I didn't already know that we were set up for like Kang is the next big bad, this seems like, I don't know, could a Galactus sense a beacon? He's just like the biggest cosmic thing I can think of. He's very large. He has that big purple hat.
Indeed, it could be basically anyone. We don't know at this point.
Nova? I don't know. I just know names of guys, Kyle. I don't. If they haven't been in a movie before, I know their name. I know what they look like.
Been smashed.
So. Beans.
Yeah. But yeah, who knows? So that's exciting because it's one of those things that like it was not that thing where like Thanos turns around and you can see his chin. You're just like, oh my god, that's Thanos. He's coming eventually. It's just like
we didn't have any chins.
Coming.
No chin we recognized.
No chins in this movie here. So then we get post-credit scene number 2.
Oh no, but we gotta talk about how that scene ends.
Oh yes,
with Wong telling them
I
like,
almost forgot.
Look, sorry guys, you're in this for life now. Now that your life is connected to the 10 rings, you've become part of something larger. You need to go home. You need to rest. You need to prepare. I don't know what's coming, but it is coming for us. And Shang-Chi and Katie are like, yeah, we could go home. And then it smash cuts to the 3 of them in a karaoke bar, drunkenly singing Hotel California.
Which is great. It's a great way to end that one.
One of my favorite new jokes. God, this whole movie just made me want a Wong a Wong Disney Plus series. I just want the further side adventures of Wong. Where has he been? Where will he go?
To be honest, I want more like MCU shorts. Like, Hail the King. Just give me a Wong one shot. Just give me
One Day with Wong.
An Agent Wu one shot when he finally learns that magic trick, right? And just how happy he is and like what he does after that. I would love to see that moment.
I hope he gets wrapped into this too. I want Jimmy Woo to try and do a magic trick with the 10 rings. He may be connected to Sword now, after befriending Monica Rambeau. Maybe he's up there with swords. Maybe he'd be helping with the cosmic or otherworldly entities.
Potentially, yeah, you never know.
And he's also a San Franciscan, so we've got that too. Many options to bring in Jimmy Woo and have him in this world of sorcerers try and do just like a magic trick.
Absolutely. End credit scene number 2. I liked this one a lot. This catches us up with Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, and she had said she was gonna go dismantle the remains of her father's empire and stuff like that. But instead, it's like, well, you know what? What if I just take it over and run it myself? What if I'm the 10 rings now? And so, yeah, she has made some updates to the 10 rings compound. She is working on it. There's now art and graffiti all over the walls. It looks like they're kind of figuring out their whole tournament thing of like, how can we get that going again?
Yeah, now we get that.
She's also training up more loyal members of the 10 rings, more warriors, and she's training the men and women equally, which is really, really cool. And then we get this thing that says the 10 rings will return. So I don't know if that means it's going to end up being a Disney Plus show or if it's going to be in some movie. Shang-Chi 2. I hope there's a Shang-Chi 2. There absolutely needs to be. But yeah, they went out of their way to be like, hey, the 10 rings will return. So
this reminded me a lot of Sharon Carter at the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where she's like, yes, I will help. I'm going to help you guys. Wink. No, I'm secretly still the power broker. I am sourcing illegal weapons and just selling them to people.
Yep.
So I don't know. It seems like those two could run in similar circles. I'd love to see the Xialing Sharon Carter power duo.
It's interesting to think that we now have a unit of Black Widows running around there.
Yeah.
We now have these like this all women team of ninjas and warriors out there. Like, yeah, I like that we have these not necessarily mercenaries, but these different kind of
these free agents. Yeah. These guys could show up anywhere.
Yeah, and it's not like they need to be a specific character. Like, oh, this one, her name is Jenny, and she's in all. It's just like it can be one of them, and by their outfit or by how they act, we'll know. It's like, oh, you're a widow. Oh, you're a member of the 10 rings and stuff like that. I like that. It feels like the universe is expanding. So good stuff with that. I will say this last end credit scene, I know we mentioned Iron Fist. There is a comic book called The Immortal Iron Fist, written by Matt Fraction, and I think art was by David Aja. I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but it's a really good run on that character. But it is a tournament. And it is a martial arts tournament. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe towards the end of that book, there is kind of a sequence where there is this like secret underground facility where they are training these women to be ninjas and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it was reminiscent of that. And I was just like, good. If they're not gonna do that whole character because he was in the Netflix shows and stuff like that, and that show didn't really go over so well, this is the next best thing, and they are knocking it out of the park. So that's it. That's Shang-Chi. I loved it. This was a great movie.
I also want to say I like the end credits song. And then the next day, did some Labor Day holiday weekend shopping, and I heard it in an H&M, and I thought, this is perfect here, too.
They're
multiple
everywhere.
uses.
Everything's connected. Yeah, man, I loved this. I think, like I said at the start, this is up there with one of my favorites. It's so good. And it's, just on another level. It felt exciting and fresh, and there's just so much new stuff to the MCU. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm happy that we get this year where we open up a lot of new doors. A lot of things we've never seen before, or we've had just like vague hints about, like I didn't know what to expect from Shang-Chi. Who knows what we're going to find out in the Eternals. I think these are also characters that are open-ended. Like, I've been hearing about things that will be introduced, but I don't know how they'll be continued, you know? Like, when is the next time we're going to see Shang-Chi? When's the next time we're going to see any of these Eternals?
Right. Yeah.
Where will everybody go as Phase 4 continues?
Yeah. I mean, we've still barely seen the Guardians interact with the Avengers, so I'm wondering, if like, because this is getting bigger and bigger, are they can they do? Will we get to a point where there are like two sagas going on? There is the like Marvel cosmic stuff that is like the Guardians and the Eternals and the Celestials and all of them doing stuff up there out in space, and then the Avengers or the Young Avengers or the Thunderbolts or whoever are it's still more of an Earth focused like stuff and storyline. And it can be a thing like, there's some crossover between them, but you don't necessarily need to see all the cosmic stuff to understand the Earth stuff there.
I don't know how cosmic armor wars would be. They've got room to do a lot of different things.
They do. But I'm excited to see where all of this goes. Any kind of last final thoughts on Shang-Chi?
Fun, good. I'm excited to see it again in a fully lit in an appropriately lit environment where we can see the film slightly better.
Absolutely. Go watch this. I thought this was an absolute blast. I'm excited to go watch it again sometime somewhere. I don't know when I will be able to. But I'm looking forward to that down the road. But Melissa, that about wraps us up for our spoiler cast on Shang-Chi. So let the people know where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. And if you enjoyed our discussion here, we call the show Saturday Morning Obscurities, but every once in a while we do an episode called A Saturday Morning Giant, where we talk about something that is well remembered, that is popular. And we did an episode on Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun episode. I read the Wikipedia profiles on each of the villains' three henchmen, and they're surprisingly detailed. There's a lot to learn about those three henchmen. We talk about them for a long time.
Good stuff. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to follow all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal with that. It would help us out a ton if you would go spread the word. But I guess that wraps us up. So that is it for number 45 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. We will be back very shortly with some more reactions to What If. And who knows, if there's a good movie trailer that's coming down the road, we'll probably be doing that too. And down the road, look for Eternals and maybe Venom. I think that's now coming out October 1st. They moved the date up now, which is strange. But
we got coming out this fall. We got Venom. We got Bond in there too. Our one non-superhero to look forward to later this year. Normal human James Bond.
Indeed. Good stuff. But with that, we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.